Good evening, everyone. I'm Professor Duncan Bentley. I'm the Vice-Chancellor and President of Federation University Australia. And to start today, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet, the Wadawurrung people, and pay our respects to elders past and present, and extend this respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander First Nations peoples. I'd like to especially welcome Terry Moran AC, our Federation University Chancellor, Federation University Council members, Menzies Foundation Chair Peter Jopling, AM KC, Menzies Foundation Board Member Catherine Greiner AO, Menzies Foundation CEO Liz Gillies, and members of the Menzies Foundation. I'd like to give a very warm welcome to our orator for the evening, Jennifer Dulski, who's the CEO and founder of Rising Team. Jennifer, it's wonderful to have you here with you, Len, and your family, and we warmly welcome you to Ballarat despite the weather outside. And I'd like to acknowledge Federation University partners, staff and students, distinguished guests. Federation University is immensely proud to be hosting the Menzies Oration for the second time in collaboration with the Menzies Foundation. Tonight's event is being live streamed and recorded, and we're thrilled that there are over 270 people who are attending both virtually and with us here personally in the IBM Emerging Technologies Hub, which is located, as you will have seen, right here in the School of Mines campus, which began in 1870, right in the heart of Ballarat. And we're continuing that proud tradition of educating those who are looking for careers in exciting new parts of the economy. And what Jennifer is going to talk about tonight absolutely aligns with what we're trying to do and with what the Menzies Foundation is trying to do in creating future leaders for Australia who will take us into the future. And tonight we examine leadership in the digital age, how to unlock the potential of artificial intelligence and shape a successful future. And to take us through this journey is global business leader Jennifer Dulski, whom I've introduced, the CEO and the founder of Rising Team, which is a software as a service company that helps companies increase engagement and, importantly, scale talent development. Previously, Jennifer held leadership roles at Google, Yahoo, and Facebook, and she led the team which was responsible for envisioning and redesigning Facebook groups, which is now used by more than 1.5 billion people each month to create and participate in communities that matter to them. Jennifer was also president and chief operating officer of change.org, which is a platform which people around the world use to mobilize support for a very wide range of causes. And under Jennifer's leadership, the company grew from 18 million to 180 million users. Jennifer is an accomplished author, writes about leadership for LinkedIn influencers and Fortune, and serves as a lecturer in management at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. Her first book, Purposeful, is about how every one of us has the potential to be a movement starter. And naturally, it's a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Given her impeccable credentials and breadth of experience as a leader in the technology industry, there's no one better than Jennifer to speak on the impact of artificial intelligence and what impact it will have on workplace leadership in the future. But before we welcome Jennifer to the stage, I'd like to invite Menzies Foundation CEO Liz Gillies to talk about the wonderful work of the foundation and its very significant contribution to developing Australia's future leaders. Liz.
Thank you so much, Duncan, for that wonderful introduction. It's just so marvellous to be back in Ballarat for the second of the series of Menzies Orations. Sir Robert Menzies started his life, or was born in Jeparit, 3 hours north in the Wimmera, and spent his early years at school in Ballarat. I think, in many ways, that shaped very much the man who he became, and shaped a lot of his considerations and regard for all Australians, but particularly, I think, with always a lens on those that came from rural and regional Australia. So it's just a wonderful opportunity, I think, for the Menzies Foundation to partner with an outstanding institution like Federation University that's so deeply committed to supporting those in the regions and in Australia to build the sort of skill sets and capabilities that position them for the very unknown future. And I think Robert Menzies would be very pleased, thanks, I have to say, to the Chancellor, for suggesting the appropriateness and importance of these conversations, both in partnership with, as I said, Federation University, but really conversations of global and certainly national significance. So thank you, Federation University, for your fabulous capacity to partner. The Menzies Foundation is deeply committed, and I say this without any hesitation, to build a leadership movement that asks Australians to think deeply of their purpose, to build a leadership capability that allows them or gives them a better perspective on our collective responsibility to each other, and encourages people to act for the greater good. And leadership is a little bit of a misnomer in some regards, because some people think of themselves as leaders and others don't. But the truth and reality of the emerging world and the challenges that we face is all of us have a responsibility to think deeply about the capability that we can build and the ways that we can contribute in both small and large ways. The sorts of values that were the Menzies Foundation, I need to emphasise, is non-partisan, but there were very particular qualities that Sir Robert Menzies have that I think still lead us to important lessons and perspectives on what's required to make a contribution to lead in the world today. Sir Robert Menzies' integrity, his strong values and principles, his pride in our nation, his respect for all Australians, and most importantly, his great commitment to service is something, those things still ring as true today as they were, and in how they defined who he was and the contribution that he made to our great nation. And the question that the Menzies Foundation asks itself in thinking about how those values translate into our contemporary context, and the work that we do in leadership emphasises such attributes as an entrepreneurial disposition, hence Jennifer, being adaptive, being empathetic, resilient, having a global disposition, being comfortable in complexity and emergence, but still fundamentally anchored, still fundamentally grounded by clear understanding and clarification of purpose and the values and principles that underpin that purpose. In today's complex and interconnected world, we focus on leadership required to tackle or needed to tackle humanity's challenges and the leadership qualities that we need to cultivate for that future. Through our various initiatives, we recognise that leadership, as I've said, requires a clear purpose, grounded in values and principles that guide each of us through the volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity of our times. And you only have to see the meta crises that the world's facing. AI, something we're going to talk about tonight. Climate, to appreciate those words and their relevance in how we all think of who we are and what we can do in the world today. Purpose is our reason for being. It encompasses what we believe and what standards we'll uphold. It allows us to be the best possible version of ourselves. It's the context of our collective responsibility for each other and for how we might act in the context of that responsibility. And yet the question I want to ask you tonight, when you hear Jennifer talk about what an AI world is going to mean in terms of the type of leadership capabilities, is how many of you in this room have taken the time to think deeply about your purpose? How many of you see purpose as a dynamic practice, not just something that's a destination or something that you glibly claim is the thing that clarifies who you are, what you are, how you are, and the values and principles that underpin that? And finally, and most importantly, how many of us continue to cultivate and deepen our awareness, our courage, our imagination, our influence, and our wisdom to build the strong foundations required to ethically lead in the world today. The Menzies Foundation is so delighted that Jennifer Dulski is the 2023 orator. She brings extraordinary insight and experience into Silicon Valley, the emergence of the new knowledge economy, and all that that includes. But what's fundamentally so interesting about the message that she carries today is in regard to all that is ahead of us, to AI and all the uncertainty that brings. The thing that's absolutely fundamental, and I'm very much looking forward to Jennifer talking about it today, is our capacity for deep human connection, our capacity to work collaboratively and connection and in ways that ensure that we find solutions, as I said, in terms of how we think about the future. So without further ado, because Duncan has done a marvellous job in introducing Jennifer in all her magnificence, let me say, Jennifer, can I say, when you think about and you listen to this speech, the one thing I really hope that you leave with is to think for 5 minutes, even if it's only 5 minutes, to think about your purpose and how you can position yourself and the things that you can do. In the words of my Indigenous women who we work with at the Menzies Foundation, the Kimberley, not just for yourself, but for your family, for your community, and for the planet. It's with great joy and delight that I introduce Jennifer Dulski, founder and CEO of Rising Team.
Thank you, Liz. It is absolutely my honor to be here with the Menzies Foundation and the Federation University and our folks dialing in from home, who I think we'll see in a moment. I also want to give a special thanks to the Federation University team who helped me get all set up for this presentation. You'll see that it is part slides, but part interactive, so don't get too focused on sitting down, because I'm going to have you standing up a little bit in just a few minutes. Okay, so today we're going to talk about AI. Everybody did a great job at introducing me already, so I won't introduce myself a lot. You know, I've spent many years working in tech, at big companies, at small companies. I teach a few classes at Stanford. What they also mentioned is that I am a mom. I have a habit of bringing my family on my work trips, and now I sometimes go on their work trips, so my husband and my daughters are here. It has been a pleasure visiting you in Australia, and an especially big pleasure that it was during the period of the World Cup. This is a photo of my family last night at the pub in Ballarat. We were very disappointed alongside you, but you can see we've got some face paint going on, some beads. We were cheering very loudly. In fact, Len, I think, was cheering so loudly that he even surprised the Australians next to us. But it was such an exciting time to be here. So thank you for hosting us. Okay, today we're going to talk about three things. We're going to start with AI background. We'll talk about some history of AI, some pros and cons. We'll look at some examples. The second thing is we'll talk about high-performing teams. So again, I teach 2 classes in leadership at the business school at Stanford, talk all about high-performing teams. Where can AI help us, and where can AI not help us in building the best teams? And 3, we will talk about the things that AI can't do. As Liz mentioned, one of those things is deep human connection, and we are going to practice some of that together, both in this room and online. We'll have you get out your phones and we'll do some examples of that. Okay, so AI, this is an image of AI models over time. So I think one of the things that surprises people is that AI has actually been around a long time. You know, many of us see it and we think generative AI in the last 2 years, ChatGPT is the advent of AI. It really isn't. What is amazing, though, is how quickly these models have been improving in the last 10 years. So if you look back 50 years or so, the computation power of AI models was doubling every 20 months, about in line with Moore's law that many of you may know from technology. What happened in the last 10 years is computation power started doubling every 6 months. So incredibly fast speed of development of AI models, which is part of the reason why we see this huge increase today in what's coming out and our ability to use it. I want to go back in time a little bit, though, and show you a couple examples of things that I actually built using AI long before we all were hearing about AI every day. This is a very early and kind of embarrassing to show example, but my daughter was saying, oh, the UI of that, it's so painful to look at. Those of you who were around when the iPhone launched its first apps, you remember this little dial they used to have that you could use all the time. So one of my early startups built a product using AI, using natural language processing, where we took in 50 million reviews of local businesses, and we used natural language processing and AI to cull out the most important factors of those businesses. Whether, we took things like, were they romantic? Were they good for kids? We pulled out the ambiance words, the food words, et cetera, and we had to train those models using human beings. Like literally my team would sit and look at words and train the model, because things like big, as it turns out, big burger could be good. Big bill, on the other hand, not so good. So you really have to understand how to train the models. I unfortunately could not make a big business out of this. It was a great product. I just couldn't get enough people to use it. In the end, we ended up building something very different. And a few years after this, though, we were bought by Google, who ended up using this as the core of their AI product inside Google Maps. So today, when you look up things like restaurants that are good for kids in Ballarat, I don't know, I have not been to this place, Carboni's. Is it good for kids? Decent? Yeah? Okay, so things like crowd and ambiance and those words all come from AI. So we've all been living with AI around us all the time for quite a while. Another example, this one maybe not quite as fun and exciting. This is an example from my team at Facebook. As was mentioned, I ran Facebook groups, and one of the things we had to do was try to figure out how to get bad content out of groups, because when you have a product that's used by nearly 2 billion people, you don't want bad things happening in there. The challenge is that people learn the rules and they learn ways to get around the rules. So we used AI models to do things like pull down content around people selling guns. As you can see here, this is an image of someone selling a gun next to an image of baby powder. And so the text says, I'm selling this baby powder for this much money. And unless you have the understanding that that is the pattern, you wouldn't pull down that piece of content. So we used AI models to take out this content, but we first had to use human beings to train the models. So even though I had a relatively small team of very smart AI engineers, I needed 500 people around the world in different languages looking at all this content to try to find those patterns. That is a job that's getting better and easier with AI, so that human beings won't have to do those parts of it anymore. Okay, so this is the other big thing that has happened in the recent history of AI, which is that if you look at the tasks that we give it to do, it's gotten better, as good at or better than humans in generally the last 10 to 15 years at each of these things. So it's passed human capability on handwriting recognition, speech recognition, image recognition, et cetera, which is part of the reason why it's now so much easier for us to do these things using AI. So as an example, a few years ago, Len and I went to Russia on a trip. We went to the very far east coast of Russia, a town named Petropavlovsk, where no one speaks English. This town is not even accessible by land, only boat or air. And if we had not had the ability to translate using an app, we literally wouldn't have been able to talk to anyone. That is an AI speech recognition, example. So all the things we do, all the autocomplete, all the grammar help and so forth is all enabled because machines are now better or as good as humans. The big difference, of course, the biggest difference is the advent of, not really the advent, because generative AI has also been around since the 60s. There's been chatbots around for a long time, but the widespread access of generative AI with the models like DALL-E and ChatGPT, now everyone, not just people in this room, everyone at home, everyone who has a phone and any access to the internet has access to these kinds of tools where AI can now not just intake data, but create new things, new images, new content, new music. A lot of people call it a printing press moment, but to me, it is so much more than a printing press moment. Because if you think about how long the printing press took to reach the majority of society, it was a really long time. Even personal computers, even the internet. You know, I remember when I worked at a school that was wired for the internet, and only schools used to have internet access. And then one day we all had it. This is very different. You know, the moment ChatGPT came out, everybody had it. Everybody around the world who has access to the internet. And there's tons of things it can help us do. So it can help us code faster. It can help us translate, as I mentioned. It can help us create new music. I put these two images here because my husband is a big fan of Deadpool, and he also went to culinary school, so he's really a chef. And so I said, show me 2 images of Deadpool cooking in the kitchen. And there you go. Instantly, within 30 seconds, I had a few images of Deadpool in the kitchen, which I could now, of course, use as a gift for him if I hadn't already shown him them in this presentation. AI can also make our headshots. So I'd like to do a little poll. I'm going to ask you, which one of these do you think is AI? How many people say number 1? Raise your hand. Nobody. One person. How many people think number 2 is AI? Okay, like a quarter of people. How many people think number 3? Boy, those are high res. Okay, 1. And a few, small handful. How many people think number 4 is AI? Yeah, that neck in number 4 just looks really awkward, doesn't it? So all of these are AI, all 4 of them. You're all right. Congrats, give yourselves a round of applause. Everybody is right. But it's pretty amazing. So, you know, and I'm not saying we're going to put photographers out of a job, because there's a real difference in taking, you know, live pose photographers and so forth. But I paid $39 to get 40 headshots. 3 of them were usable. That's a pretty good deal. So lots of interesting things AI can do. I have another example here. This is the brother of my CTO at Rising Team. He is creating chapter summaries for books that he wants to help kids understand. And one of the things he does is read these books out loud. And I'm going to play a little video for you, because you'll see that the first 20 seconds or so is him talking and his voice. And then in the latter part of the video, it transfers to an AI version of his voice. And you'll see there's a tiny difference in the sound quality, which you'll notice, but once you get past that, see if you think it sounds like him or not.
Holston marveled at the wear and tear on the staircase, each tread bearing the marks of countless lives and the passage of time. The silo they inhabited seemed ill-suited for such a prolonged existence, as if it were originally intended for a different purpose.
As he neared the top, the cacophony of children's laughter reached its peak. Holston reminisced about his own childhood in the silo, the sense of wonder and exploration that seemed endless. But those days were long gone, buried beneath the weight of his duty as a sheriff and the secret life he had been carrying for 3 years.
What do you think? Does it sound like him? Yeah, I got asked today by 2 different radio personalities whether AI would put them out of a job. And, you know, inside I'm thinking, well, we can certainly replicate your voice. So a radio, you know, someone on the radio who is just reading off a script easily could be replaced by AI. What AI can't replace is the witty repartee of a radio host who's having a conversation with someone in the studio and so forth. So I don't think their jobs are at risk anytime soon, what I told them. Okay, AI, oops, I skipped that one. So AI can also help us do some incredible world-changing kinds of things that humans just can't do. This is an example of how it is helping us to fight wildfires in California. They have 1,000 different cameras that are rotating on 360 degrees at all times, and AI is analyzing the images that are coming out of those cameras and can then spot a small anomaly. And if that is a fire, they alert someone. There was a fire that just happened in the middle of the night in San Diego that they stopped well before it became a raging wildfire. And you can see with what's happening in Hawaii and other places how important that is. It can do things like help us develop new drugs, lots of ideation around what new molecules might be, and the ability to understand which populations may be impacted by different molecules, and also the idea that AI might help us create drugs for less common diseases. As we know, the pharma companies mainly create drugs for things that a lot of people have, which leave you kind of out in the cold if you have a more rare illness. So this can help with that. Okay, as we know, AI also has some drawbacks, and this gets talked about a lot. One, of course, over here, it's not always right. This is, AI accepting the job, and as you can see, there's some issues with that. Designers also love to say that to replace graphic designers with AI, clients will need to say exactly what they want. So designers are safe because they know that clients are horrible at saying exactly what they want. And that is true. To be a good AI prompter, you really do need to do that. Second, it can be wrong. This is my bio from ChatGPT, which someone sent to me, and it says I'm on 2 boards that I'm not on. I'm on several other boards that it doesn't list. It also says, I like this, I was named one of Fortune's most powerful women entrepreneurs. I thought that was pretty awesome, but also not true. So we have to be really careful in our fact checking with AI. It can be biased. This is an example I like, which is you ask it, the professor told the graduate student she wasn't working hard enough. Who wasn't working hard enough? And in that example, it says, she refers to the graduate student. She wasn't working hard enough. But if you change that sentence to the professor told the graduate student he wasn't working hard enough, suddenly he becomes the professor who isn't working hard enough. So AI models are trained by the data they sit on top of. They're trained by the engineers that build them. And we have to be really, really cautious about what we're putting into them and how we see the things coming out. I will say they can also be used to lower bias. Did anyone see this ad from Orange Telecom? Yeah, a few people. So they took the footage of the female French players, Les Bleus, and they overlaid it with the faces of the male players. And they said, look at how awesome our soccer players are. And men's soccer is so incredible. And then they revealed at the end that all the footage they had been showing was actually the women and how they supported the women. So it can be used in both directions. So to sum this up, and again, this is not a complete summary of all the goods and bads of AI, but a few things on the pro side. It can save us so much time. It can help a lot as a starting point for ideation. We'll look at a few leadership examples in a minute. It can remove bias if it's trained well or used well, and it can do things that humans just can't do as easily. On the other hand, it can be wrong, it can be biased, it is not yet uniquely creative. It can risk copyright infringement. It can also be difficult. We know AI can develop a personality, and there's been a lot of news about finicky and difficult AI chatbots. And we'll talk about this way more in a minute. It does not replace deep, meaningful human connection. Okay, so the question moving forward is not whether or not to use AI. We are in a world where we have been, and we all will be using more of AI. The question is how to use it. So when we think about leaders and teams, I put together a list of what I call the 6 C's. When you look at the best performing teams and the best performing leaders, they all do these same 6 things in common. This is some of what I teach in my course. They create a compelling vision that inspires people to move forward. They communicate a clear path for what success looks like. And by the way, I put that picture there because these 6 C's are very similar to what really great sports coaches do. So create a vision, communicate a path to success, coach each person. You need to understand each individual on your team and how to get them to that ultimate success. They compete by getting, great at delivering results, whatever that may be for your organization. They connect people so that you feel like a team, and they commit. Even when things get rough, the best teams and the best leaders keep going. So that's what they do. The question is, which of these does AI do well and which does it not do well? So we put some Harvey balls here to think about, and I'll show you some examples in a second. We're going to go through each one of these and look at an example. The truth is AI can help us at least a little bit on each of these, but there are some that it's really not great at. And we're going to spend the second part of this session on those. So create a vision. At first thought, I thought, no, AI machines are just not going to be good at this. And then I tried it. And my question, as you can see here, was create an inspiring vision for a new startup focused on helping people sleep better. And I hit enter, and in 10 seconds, I had not only a vision, but I had a name of a company, a tagline, empowering your best tomorrow tonight. I had a mission statement, a purpose. I had a list of values. I asked it a follow-up question, what should my first product features be? It gave me a list of product features, et cetera. So it was, to be honest, much better than I thought it would be at this. And this is a good example of why we should get out there and try it and see what it does. Now, the downside of this, so can it wordsmith you a great vision? Absolutely. The downside is it is not uniquely creative, right? So this is rehashed from a lot of other things put together. In fact, Emma mentioned that she saw a bus slogan that was very similar to this in Ballarat earlier today. So you can use it as a starting point for ideation, but I would not take this and go ahead and make it your entire vision and so forth. It has to have human creativity on top of it. And in fact, at the end of that series of questions, even ChatGPT told me you need a team of developers and designers to help you do this. It wasn't going to finish the job for me. Okay, communicating a clear path to success. So what should I do first, and in what order, and how should I prioritize it? AI is also going to be quite good at helping you think about what to do and in what order. What it can't do is actually do the work for you. It can't tell you what will be successful. It can just tell you what to try. And then you got to get out there and try those things. It can help you, as we'll talk about in a sec, build the things that you want to try. But this is why I gave it a half circle. You can get a good suggestion of direction and a path to go from AI, and then do the work with your team. Okay, coaching individuals. So this is about how do I get each person on my team to deliver to their maximum potential, or how do I do that myself? And these are actually two examples from assessments that we use at Rising Team to help understand each person. We look at their natural talents. We look at ways they want to be appreciated. We look at their career horizon goals, all sorts of things that we get as data about that unique individual. AI is not great at doing this yet, at really understanding people, but it can, once you have data like this, really help you synthesize that data and then coach people in a unique way based on top of it. So we would use our tools to gather the data and then feed it into AI and say, okay, if I wanted to, coach Rachel on something, how do I take all the things I know about her and then give me some unique ideas about how to do that? Getting back to coaching, this is a picture of my class. So one of the things at Stanford, they have us at the beginning of each quarter, we have to write an AI policy about whether our students can or can't use AI in class. And in our class, we say, sure, absolutely use AI if you'd like, because it really can't help you that much. My class is about all the people issues. So I have guests coming into class. We take their largest, most challenging leadership problems that they've faced in their careers, and they're all people-based. Every single one of them is, I have a tough board member, or I have a conflict on my exec team, or something. All of them are people, not strategy. And so they can use our students role play those challenges in class, and they can certainly use AI to help them write their very first script of what they're going to say. But as soon as a human being talks back to them, they cannot predict what the human is going to say. And so they need those skills of, understanding humans and thinking about that interaction to be able to succeed in this class and to be able to succeed as a leader. Okay, on competing, AI absolutely can help us. This gets 3/4 of a circle here. It can help us code faster, write faster, compute faster, all of that, and we should absolutely be using it, as well as checking its accuracy and fact checking and so forth. Okay, what it really can't help us do, as I mentioned before though, is build truly deep, meaningful human connection. And I want to show this. Has anyone here seen Maverick? Can I see a show of hands? It's surprisingly few people, yes, given how many billions of people saw it. You can also raise your hands on the teams if you'd like to show me whether you've seen Maverick or not. But I am going to play a short scene. For those of you who've seen it, you'll recognize it. If you haven't, then you'll see why I like this scene in a minute.
Sir. What is this? It's dogfight football. Offense and defense at the same time.
Who's winning?
I think they stopped keeping score a while ago.
This detachment still has some training to complete, Captain. Every available minute matters.
Yes, sir.
So why are we out here playing games?
You sent to create a team, sir. There's your team.
There's your team. You just can't do it. You cannot be a leader. You cannot achieve, in this case, this incredibly difficult, life-threatening mission without making people feel like a team. And you can't do that with machines. We are going to use technology to help us feel more like a team here in a minute. But it can't be machines alone. We have to talk to each other. We have to look at each other, whether it's on screen or in person. And part of the reason why is because we're in a workplace that has just shifted so dramatically in the past few years because of the pandemic. So we're now in a spot where 3/4 of all people work either remote or hybrid. More than half of people are either thinking about quitting or quitting their jobs. I was saying they now call it grumpy staying. So you're not quiet quitting, but you're just staying and being really grumpy about it in your job. And we also have a big disconnect between what executive leadership thinks employees feel and what they actually feel. And you can see it in this data. This is global data from McKinsey, where they ask employees what matters and ask employers what matters. And in the blue box are the things that employees say that most employers are overlooking. So they want to feel valued. They want a sense of trust and care with their teammates. And these are things we have to put actual thoughtful commitment towards. So what we've built at Rising Team is software that helps people connect, whether they are in person or remote, by running them through guided sessions that they can do together with their team to help them connect, learn more about each other, and feel more like a team. We're going to do a practice session together tonight, and then I'm going to give you this kit for free so you can take it back and do it with your own teams if you'd like to try it yourself. And it really works well. As was said earlier, what we do is help companies drive up engagement, and we see somewhere 10 and 60% increase in engagement in teams in just a quarter of doing sessions like these. Okay, so we're gonna try it. I'm gonna ask people to get out their phones. And on the Teams link, you will also, I'm gonna switch computers here. On the Teams link, you will also be using this QR code on your phone if you can. So it's going to come up in a second, and I will ask you to scan that QR code. And it is going to ask you to enter your email and create a password. The reason I ask you to do a password is so you can get back to the free thing I'm giving you later. And I'm going to play a little music here. Maybe it's on mute again. I see that.
Just click on it.
I'm trying. Oh, wrong one. Thanks, team. And you're going to wait on the screen with the clock. It says hang tight. When you get there, just wait on that screen with the clock. And folks who are on the teams, you're going to be participating in this too if you sign in. And a little bit later, I may ask you to turn on your camera if you need to talk. So if you need to freshen up anything, do that now, because you may be on camera in a bit. Okay, we're going to keep going. If you're not in yet, the QR code is still on on every page at the top there. So feel free to keep going to get in here. So we're going to jump to this next page and do our warm-up. So the warm-up is about surfacing things that we have in common and things that are unique between us. And I am going to ask you, if you're in this room and can stand up, Please, if I read a statement that applies to you, please stand up. And then we're going to look around the room and see who has what in common. And Penny is going to help us switch the screen so we can see the people on our Teams meeting and see what they have in common with us as well. And we're going to go through many of these things, so you're going to get used to it and see if we can learn about each other. Okay, number one, I like dogs. Let's start simple. Stand up if you like dogs. Okay, this is a dog-friendly crowd. Wow. Okay, let's look at online. Okay, we have a few dog people online. Oh, that's 58 participants. So I don't know if there's a way to forward on that or not. But okay, we're going to go to the next statement. I like cats. So stay standing if you like cats, and if you don't, sit down. Okay, slightly fewer cat people. Okay, I also am not a cat. I'm allergic to cats. Okay, next one. My household has more than 3 animals. Anybody here? Okay. Let's hear a little bit. Who wants to share their animals? What do you have?
3 cats, 2 birds, 2 chickens.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do one more on this side. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Wow. Okay, let's do over here.
Dog, cat, 2 chickens, each.
Okay. And I'll do one on this side, yeah.
2 dogs, 2 fish, 8 chooks, 1 accident.
Okay, thank you. You can sit down. Okay, let's try this one. I am an only child. Any only children in here? Wow. What about online? We have it. Okay. We definitely have some. I don't know how many of the 57, but some number. Okay. Let's do. I have 1 sibling. Okay. Yeah. You two also have 1 sibling. Okay. Thank you. And we're going to go to. Oh no. Sorry. I clicked the wrong thing. Okay. Hold on 1 sec while I'm having a little trouble with this mouse. Okay. 1 sibling, 2 siblings. How many people have 2 siblings? Okay, so good number, maybe half between 1 and 2. And then 3+ siblings. Who are the big families in here? Lots of pets and big families in common, I see over here. Okay, how many siblings do you have? 3. What about 4? 8. Anyone in here beat 8 siblings? No? Okay. So okay, I speak more than 2 languages. Anyone in here speak more than 2 languages? Okay. How many languages and what do you speak? Amazing. Yes. What if I say it's not fluently? Would you stand up? Okay, let's stand up and hear what you speak sort of pretty well. Okay, nice. Thank you. Let's go to the back over here.
English, Bengali, Hindi, and Arabic.
Wow, that is awesome. And let's do one in the back here. Okay, nice. Way to go to our multiple language speakers. I play a musical instrument. How many in here? Not very many. Let's see, what do you play? Violin, and what about you? Piano. Anyone play anything other than violin or piano? Yes? Viola. What's that? Oh, flute. Sorry, a little trouble hearing. And what about you in the front? Okay, did say other than piano. Okay, thank you very much. And okay, who has a go-to karaoke song? Anybody? Okay. What's your go-to song? Okay, wait, what is it? Oh, yes, Daniel. Oh, what? Give us a hand motion. Oh, no. Okay, for later. What about yours? Wonderwall. And in the back? Oh, they didn't even sing their own song, right? And what about this one? I would rather stick a needle in my eye than sing karaoke. Anybody? Okay, got it. Thank you. I love to fly. Anyone here love flying? Like on a plane, or, skydiving. Okay, so some people who love planes. What about this one? I can pilot a plane. Anyone in here? Can you pilot a plane? Sort of? Have flown a plane before in an emergency? Okay, that's good. And what about this? I really hate flying. Anyone in here hate flying? Okay, be bold and say it. Yes, okay, we have 2 people who hate flying, 3, and they're gonna bond with each other over that. Okay, I love to cook. Anybody? I know you love to cook. Oh, that's good. Now we know whose house to go over to for dinner. Look around. And I hate to cook. A few brave souls. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna skip that one. How about I have been paid as a model or an actor? Anybody in here? Not actor? I'm either or, it says either or. Okay, and would you like to share what your acting or modeling experience was?
I used to do German folk dancing, and the SBS was doing an episode set in a German pub, so I was going to be paid.
Oh my gosh, amazing. And what about you?
I was very proud to model my studies.
Okay, let's do the next one. I have danced in a TikTok video. You better get up. Okay, any explanation about what your TikTok video was? Okay, great. I'm gonna skip these character ones because I want to get to the next one. Okay, let's do this one. I like watching organized sports. Okay, look around, that's a good group of people. And what about the opposite? Are the other people, I hate watching organized sports, just, yeah, okay. Quite as many. Okay, I have been trapped in an elevator. Anybody here? Oh my God, that is a surprisingly large number of people. Okay, how many were trapped for under an hour? Raise your hand. Okay, how many over an hour? Okay, how long were you trapped in an elevator? Hour and a half. What about you? Couple of hours. Oh, that sounds like my nightmare. Okay, thank you. I have changed a tire on my own. Okay, that's good. Maybe the other people haven't needed to change a tire. They've kept their tires very plump. I've never had a speeding ticket. Yeah. Okay, these 2 are standing up, at least not that I know of, that mom knows of. That is about what I thought though, very few people. Okay, I've run a marathon. Anyone in here run a marathon? Wow, that's impressive. Where was your marathon that you ran? Nice, Boston Marathon, impressive. And I want to run a marathon. Anyone? Okay, a couple people. Here's the training group you have. Look at each other. You can be your accountability buddies. And, sorry, wrong mouse side. I prefer to cheer you on while you run a marathon. Yeah, that's me too. I'm gonna be the cheerer on. What's that? Oh, thank you. You are good and helpful. Thank you for that. I could have been looking at that the whole time. Okay, we are gonna go to our next activity now. So you are going to click next on your phone. And what I'm going to ask you each to do is write down one surprising fact about yourself. We've already learned a few surprising facts, but pick one more. It can be impressive accomplishment. It can be embarrassing, surprising, funny fact. Pick one thing that you are willing to share with the group. And in a minute, we're going to go to the next page and we're going to reveal a few of these and then see if we have any connections with each other around those fun facts. And I don't have music on this one, so where are my TikTok dancers? They want to come up and play some music and dance to it. Okay, everyone can keep entering their item, and we're going to go ahead to the next page and look at some of these some of these fun facts, which I am going to love. So normally when you do this with your own team in the free kit I'm going to give you, we call it Guess Who, because you know everyone on your team and you're going to guess who said each of these statements. Most of you don't know each other, so we're not going to do any guessing tonight. We're just going to reveal who it is, and then I'm going to call on that person to say a little something about it. And then I'll ask you all, including the online folks, to raise hands if you feel any connection to that person's fun fact. So I like grafting fruit trees. Peter Saban, are you in the room or online? Online. So let's see. Peter, can you unmute and tell us and turn on your camera? Tell us a little bit about what kind of fruit trees you graft. If you're still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still here. Yeah, can you hear me? Yes. I graft apple trees and plum trees, and also done pears, apricots.
That's amazing. How did you learn how to do that?
Practice.
As with most things. Okay, so let's see a show of hands in the room or online. Does anybody have any connection to this idea of grafting fruit trees? You don't have to actually graft fruit trees, but does it make you think of anything in your own life? Yes. You would like to? Yeah, that's great. And maybe Peter could show you how to do that. I saw one more over here. Yeah.
So I have a fruit tree in my orchard that is somewhat of a fruit salad, but it has multiple different trees grafted on the one.
Wow. Amazing. Peter, I don't know if you have any of those too, or if you can tell her how that happened, but some nice connections here. Thank you so much for sharing that, Peter. Okay, we're going to see who's up next. Grew up in country. That, I'm guessing, is more than one person. Craig, are you online or in the room? If you are online, unmute and tell us anything about your growing up that we should know. Anybody know Craig? Let's give him a second.
Yeah.
I hear him coming. Okay. Can you unmute and turn on your camera?
Yeah.
Great. So tell us about where you grew up and what you put here.
Well, in rural South Australia. Rural South Australia, in the mid-north, about 200 k's north of Adelaide.
Wow. How many people lived in your town?
Just 2 children, but the cousins on the farms were the most were the notable parts of growing up in the country.
Great.
So, wheat farming and sheep farming, and there were horses and so on. So that was something that we shared with my sister and I.
That's amazing. So definitely more than 3 animals in your household. Thank you, Craig. Does anybody have connection to this growing up in country? Raise your hand. Liz, would you like to share anything?
Well, I spent a lot of time on farms as a child.
Yeah.
With my family and extended family, and always had a great love for it, and what I do in my life now.
That is excellent. It's also making me realize that maybe we should be giving mics to the people in the audience in case, so that online folks can hear you. Thank you so much, Craig, for sharing that.
Hey, great.
Okay, next one is I have 7 siblings, so they didn't beat 8, but who in here has 7 siblings? Catherine.
Actually, you know what? It is me, and this is a new iPad, so I don't know where to look, but it's upside down. I do have 8 siblings. I just can't count because I forgot the youngest one, who is 7. So I can play the 2 things. My baby sibling is 7, and I'm not even pretending he's my real sibling. Apparently, my father doesn't know how that happened.
That is a good story. Okay, anyone have resonance with Catherine about 8 siblings? And Craig, yeah, you went back on mute. Thank you for that. I know, Len, would you like to share about your 8 siblings? Or?
Yeah, so I have 8 siblings, and we don't count one of them. It's what happened when we go to bed, we have to pray at night. And our prayer would be, God bless Dad, Mom, those who we paid late join in the fall. and sometimes meaty. I got a sister that don't include that.
She's the favorite of the family, so it was sort of a, yeah. Okay, great. We're going to do just a few more of these. My favorite author is, I'm not quite sure what to do with that, so we're going to reveal and see who that is. Kobe Phillips, are you here? Okay, let's hear who your favorite author is then. We're waiting on bated breath. I did not hear that, sorry.
I enjoy Brandon Sanderson.
Okay, and what are some of the things that they write?
It's like fantasy books.
Okay, great. Anyone resonate with that author or fantasy books in general? Lots of people here. Okay, so big fans of that author. Thank you for sharing that, Kobe. I have a family forest. Wow, let's see who this is. Sorry, we're going to do that again. Mi-wa. Okay, let's hear about your family forest.
I guess I say family forest because when I look at we come together fifth generation of our great-great-great-grandparents, and I cannot do I don't know my cousins because of the family size. Our great-great-grandpa had 8 wives, then the other one was a king, and then all these children, but we still come together in different parts of the world and just hang out, so family forest.
That is amazing. So it's a metaphor for family forest rather than a physical forest. Who resonates with family forest? Yeah, I certainly feel like I do too. Okay, how are we doing on time? Okay, I'm going to do 2 more of these and then we're going to take some questions. Oh, this is only in Australia. I've seen lots of these sessions and I've never ever seen I have a kangaroo living in my backyard. Who is this? Vanessa Brady. Okay, let's hear about your kangaroo, Vanessa.
In my backyard for about the last 2 months over winter, and it's getting very comfortable with us. In fact, we can go up to it and a couple of meters away and it just sort of looks at you.
Wow, is it big, small?
It's quite big. We think it's a male, we're not entirely sure.
Oh my goodness. Okay, do we have any residents here with a kangaroo in your backyard? Oh my gosh. So let's hear from one other person, from you, sir, who have a kangaroo. You resonate with this? Can you?
We live on a rural property and probably have at least a dozen kangaroos that reside in the backyard every day. Every morning you wake up and there they are.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Vanessa. Sorry. I had a horse I loved called Sunny. Let's hear about Sunny. Oh, Liz.
I was a terrible horse rider, but I did love that horse.
Anyone else here ride horses or have a horse or a pet named Sunny of any kind? Okay, let's come over here. Yeah, go ahead. What's your horse called? Say it again.
My horse's name is Allie.
Allie, that's a very sweet name. I love that. Okay, so multiple horse riders in here. I will share mine, which I also entered in here. Nobody really put an embarrassing story. So mine says, I failed my driver's test in the first minute. Anybody? Okay. Maybe not in the first minute, but some driving test failures. I took my driver's test in San Francisco where most of the streets are one way. And all my friends said, be careful, all the streets are one way. And then my driver's teacher told me to turn left out of the parking lot. And I turned left into the wrong lane of what was a 2-way street that I thought was a 1-way street. And he screamed, you fail, back up. So that was brutally horrible. Well, I see a story here, though, about your driver's test.
I was in a driving car, so I wasn't familiar with the car, and I only put the handbrake halfway down, and so I failed before I actually got out of the car.
Okay, you might have beaten me. I drove a few feet, or meters, yeah.
I've also never had a speeding ticket, so
okay.
There you go.
That is amazing. I love it. And a great way to wrap us up. So you can see there's many, many more of these in here. When you get to the to the end of the session, you'll see that you can actually see them all and reveal who they all were if you want to see everyone else's thing. But for the sake of the timing of the evening, I'm going to go to the next page and just quickly ask if anyone wants to share anything that came up for you during this exercise. So if you'd like to share, press the volunteer to share button on your app, and I'll call on a few people just to hear what you thought of this experience and how it went for you and so forth. So I see a few volunteers already. Anyone else who wants to share, please click volunteer to share. I'm seeing fewer volunteers by the minute. People may have unvolunteered while I'm talking. I have a, yeah, right. So now there's only 2. What is happening here? In my class, we just cold call people. So I might just cold call you because I have a feeling one of these is me. Catherine, where is she? Oh. Yeah, so why don't you share a little bit about what you thought and maybe anyone else feel like chiming in?
Anything about tonight's experience? Yeah. Well, it's just that connection. I think you can't remove human experience. Everyone is so different and we're all relatable through experiences. So whatever I learn about AI is that human connection. Even like things like tonight with people gathering together, it won't ever replace that. So, and I think, this is fantastic because you just learn things about each other that you would never do in another environment necessarily. So thank you for hosting this evening. It's been a great experience.
Awesome. I'm going to take just a couple more because I do see a few folks in here. Ellen, are you in the room? Okay, let's hear from Ellen.
Thank you. For me, it's really just a reminder of the importance of asking questions and curious questions just to find out, because that just has to be the precipitator for conversation and connection and understanding one another.
That's so true. And I hope after this is over, you'll have a little bit more mingling time and you can ask each other more of those questions. Okay, we're going to go to the next step. There is a short survey in your app. I will ask you, it's 2 questions, so please just answer those 2 questions. And on the final page, you will get access to your free kit. So I want to let you know that if you want to run this Guess Who exercise with any team that you're a part of, you can do that with the app you now have access to. There's also going to be an email that comes to you with a little reminder of how to get back to this. The version that you have in the app is not meant for large groups like this. It's for small groups of 14 or fewer people. So just keep that in mind. If you want to use it. Don't try to use it with hundreds of people. It's you and a small team. So with that, this is the official end of the talk, and we're going to move to Q&A. And I think we have, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for such an exciting, fun, inspiring, and I don't know which other words to use, but what an incredible oration. So thank you already, and let's put our hands together already for... For those who don't know me, I'm Gabrielle Suda. I'm the Associate DVC academic, and I have the great privilege to facilitate some questions around this. And obviously, all of this has been so revealing when it comes to connection. Connection seems to be really one of the key messages that you're having here in all sorts of ways, and how also AI and I'm a digitalization fan and enthusiast, so how it all brings us together, but also positively challenges us, right? Supports us, enhances. We enhanced what we're doing should be enhanced by technology and innovation. And I think that's come across so immensely well. Thank you so much again to you, but also for everyone here and online. This is your opportunity to actually ask Jennifer a few questions. Ideally, maybe you do tell us your name and the organization you're from. And I believe the microphone continues to be, yes, in Catherine's hands. Any questions at this moment in time?
Maybe you start with a question or two. Are you looking for something on here?
I would. Right, we will have online questions as well. Any questions here so far? Yep, please. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer.
I have to admit, I was reflecting on that presentation in a room full of educators and thinking if it's one thing educators have been trained and practiced in doing, it's bringing people together in a room and connecting. And I was wondering what you saw happening in your industry that made you want to create software to do that, because I always see software as something humans don't do, and connecting being something that makes us what we do.
So part of the reason I created this, and it is the case with many founders of companies, is I built the product I wish I had had as a leader of teams for my whole career. Because it is true that you can come to a session like this, and I loved those things when I was sent to be trained by Fred Kaufman and I had my own executive coach and so forth. But I would always leave sessions like this feeling a little bit like I had been taught to fish, and then I was sent back to the lake, which was my own team, with like a book instead of a fishing pole. It was, everything was in my head, and I didn't have any tools to bring to life the concepts I was learning with my team. And so that's the idea is, of course, professional educators can connect people in a room. Professional facilitators can do that all day long. But can individual managers and their teams and first-time managers do that as effectively? No, not without help. And a lot of the sessions we build some of them are pure connection like this. We call them connection kits. Some of them are what we call development kits, which are actually about building insights and learning skills together. So they're on things like psychological safety or appreciation or giving feedback. And that more junior managers really need help and support. And that's what the software does. But the software is meant to kind of sit on the side and help the person become a more expert facilitator. The hard thing is it's very hard to do that at scale without software. So, as an example, we have Google is one of our clients, and obviously they can build any technology they want, and they spend lots of money training the most senior levels of folks in their company to do this. But they would take the director level and above folks, they'd train them over 18 months, and then they'd send them back to their teams with a 2-page Google Doc they called facilitator guide. And they had no idea whether anyone did it, whether it worked well, whether it was done consistently. And so software actually helps them do it in a way where they can measure it and they make sure it's effective.
Thank you. We have an online question. In your view, what leadership qualities allow us to move confidently into a world of AI?
Yeah, so I have another talk that I give often, which I did part of in a presentation this week at UNSW in Sydney. And I talk about that actually as the 3 C's. It's a different set of C's than I showed tonight, which are the 6 C's. But essentially in Purposeful, what I looked at is that the skills of great leaders, whether they're starting global movements or starting successful companies, are the same. And they have 3 things in common. The first is courage. So they are the people who are willing to take that scary first step, to envision something, to ask for help, to say, I want to create. The second is community. So they are good at, if you are going to build something and make it successful, you cannot do it alone. You have to welcome other people who want to join you and inspire them to join you. And the third is commitment, which was in our other list of 6 C's, which is you just can't be successful if you can't keep going. And my favorite line on this, which I use all the time, I love Peloton and I listen to the runs in my in my ear when I go running. And my favorite Peloton coach, Robin Arzon, has a quote. She says, "Forward is a pace." That's it. Forward is a pace. Doesn't matter how fast or how slow, just keep moving forward. And that's the 3rd C of commitment.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. We have a question again here. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer. My name is Nina Thomas. I have a business communications advisory business that specialises in helping people build relationships. So really interested to see this software come through, because I've been watching with a heavy heart over the last 3 years how the relationships have fractured due to COVID and isolation. And I fully celebrate hybrid working, but I am really curious about how you see people sustaining the connection. So, you use this software to break the ice and to initiate, but curious to hear how you see organisations creating sustainable and deeper connections in teams over a longer period of time.
Yeah. So the idea with the software, our software is subscription software, and we recommend teams do sessions once every 6 weeks. So it is true that it's not a one and done. It's just like your blood pressure medicine. You can't take it once and be like, great, my blood pressure is wonderful forever. You have to do these things consistently, and you have to be intentional about it. So the number one objection we get to this stuff is, I don't have time. I have too many goals. We're busy trying to hit our numbers. And I go back to that Maverick scene every time. I know it's just a movie, but it is so true. You don't have time not to do this. And if you look at the data, it is so compelling. So we have a gas company in one of the states in the US that has been through a really difficult time, a big rift. They had a big union strike. They expected their engagement of their employees to drop dramatically. And we did some test and control groups on people who ran these sessions and people who didn't. And the control group that didn't run any sessions like this, their engagement dropped on everything massively. Their employee NPS, all their engagement scores. The teams that ran sessions, at least 3 sessions, had increases on 6 of the factors and lower drops on all but 1 of the others. And the numbers are so far apart, like massively unhappy to massively happy. And so the idea is it doesn't have to be rising team. It just has to be something that builds deliberate, intentional connection on a consistent basis.
Thank you very much. We have another question online. Keeps going back and forth. Your book, Purposeful, sets out everyone's potential for being a movement starter. What are the key attributes you see when it comes to starting AI-related movements, and maybe even connecting that, as it does here, to business?
Yeah. I mean, as I said before, those 3 C's, courage, community, commitment, are the factors that literally I saw driving every movement. And it was done by, children and grandparents and people from every walk of life. For AI specifically, I think the key thing here is that there's so much happening now. So it is my biggest encouragement to everybody is just jump in and get started. And we should all be trying to create things using AI and seeing how it works. The main difference is if you are, like, for instance, if you take the example I showed of create a business using, to help people sleep better, you just have to make sure that what you're doing isn't plagiarizing someone else and is factually accurate and so forth. And those are the differences in the AI-based version versus just starting something completely from scratch.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And look, I would love to continue our Q&A session into the night and maybe even into tomorrow morning, but mindful of everyone's time, respectful for that. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for the questions. Thanks for your wonderful participation here and online. This oration has been, I think, very much aligned and inspiring further the incredible contribution of the Menzies Foundation. One of the key areas is, of course, around shaping innovative futures and adequate leadership there. And that connection is just so key to this, with integrity, with purpose, with strong values and pride also in our contribution and our connectivity and the regions in which we are. And at Federation University, of course, we provide the learning, innovation and research that our communities need to thrive now and into the future around that. So your contribution has been immense. I think this has been the most outstanding fun oration we've probably had in a very long time. So thank you for that as well. And yes, so in conclusion of the Menzies Oration 2023, proudly held here at Federation University and the IBM Emerging Technologies Hub, in collaboration with the Menzies Foundation. Thank you. Thanks everyone. And in particular, please join me thanking Jennifer.
Thank you. It happens. Thank you. And thank you all for your active participation. The little joke there I will share is that one of the things I say in a lot of my other talks is that the courage, the type of courage you need to start something meaningful in the world is like the courage you need to be the first person to stand up in a standing ovation, even when you're not sure anyone will join you. So she just demonstrated that, and you got quite a few people to join you, so nice job. It's a good thing to try if you're working on your courage. But thank you again for your active participation tonight. So.